the nuns were bad.
Yeah.
I mean, badass. They're not afraid to hit you. But you got a pretty good education in a Catholic grammar school. When I got kicked out of the Catholic high school, I got kicked out of for playing, been truant much too often. Please send your son to another school. Because we would come in on a bus into the city, and there'd be all these movie theaters with all these fucking new movies, right? And they opened at 9 o'clock in the morning. And me and my buddy said, let's go see. El Cid was the last one we went to see that we took off from school.
Huh.
And there was a hot dog place right next to the movie. A Greek hot dogs. Man, you'll never taste another one like that, never. You know, they had their special sauce and onions, mustard onions and fucking, they only cost about $1 or something, I don't know. We could eat 3 or 4 of them, then go to the movie. I worked at the bowling alley setting pins up for years. From the age of 14 till I was about 17, my junior year, when I got my driver's license. I think I quit. So I had money from that, and I had 2 paper routes that I would do after school. And I had money coming in from them, so I always had money in my pocket. Always. And I can't remember when I didn't have money in my pocket. As soon as I painted that lady's fence, and she gave me $20. This was in 1950.
Holy shit.
Okay?
Well,
$20
$200 today.
Oh, yeah.
I said, I'm going to work for myself from now on.
Set your own prices.
And I did. I worked for myself. Bowling alleys, say, we set double alley, 2 alleys for the league.
Yeah.
Okay? The leagues were on Tuesday and Thursday. So we made, I forget how much we made, but it was money coming in all the time. And then, after the 7 o'clock league was over, we'd go out to the restaurant. It was a bar, restaurant, hotel, and get a cherry pie and a chocolate milk and wait for the bus. The bus would take us 10 miles till 9 o'clock when the league in another bowling alley started. And they wanted us, me and my buddy. We said double alleys. That's twice the work. The ball hits it, you gotta pick the ball, put it down, it goes back, get the pins out, jump over, do the other one, set them up. There was a thing, you put your foot in, and the spikes shoot up. And there was holes in the bottom of the pins. So you take 2 in one hand, 2 in one hand, 2, 2, 2, and you're done.
Wow. That's awesome.
If you go on YouTube, go to the oldest bowling alley in the United States. And they have pinboys and stuff. Still setting. I was only 14. And boy, did we shoot pool. Because Saturday morning, there was nobody bowling yet. The families came in. See, bowling was a big thing back in the 50s.
Right.
Families would come in. And if you wanted to set up them, you could. That was easy. You know, slow. The leagues were one guy right after the other, you know. But that was good money. We'd shoot pool. We'd shoot pool Saturday morning, or we'd go in the back bowling alleys, and you set up for me for, you know, for 20 minutes, and I'll set up for you for 20 minutes, you know. And we would practice our curves. We were good bowlers and good pool players at that age, because that's what we did.
Yeah. All the time.
Until some of us got driver's license, and then things changed. Here's a story. My buddy's brother had another key for his car, and he was setting pins.
What's up?
So when he started to set pins,
I'm
he was
sitting here
good for
talking
over
to
an
Ed
hour
right
or
now.
so. We would take his car, me and his
What?
brother. Now we were only 14, but where I lived, after I moved from the city, we moved to like the
His
country.
store is open. It's open now.
So there was plenty of time, and we had to drive. We drove his car.
It's
It was a
open now. The inside is
stick
open.
shift. And we learned how to drive, me and his brother. So
Well, I'm
here we
sitting
are,
in his store right now.
about 40 years later, 30 years later. He calls me up.
All
from-
right, well,
Melbourne Beach because he had a trailer.
Yeah, all right.
Okay.
Thanks for checking on me.
And
All right.
we went for breakfast and all. And I went to see him a few times when he was down here. He would come down here. And he said, you know, you and Billy thought you were smart asses taking my car all the time. He says, I says, how did you know? He says, when I came out, the motor was warm. We didn't realize that, see. We would have took a hose of water, we would have cut it down, but we learned how to drive that way.
It
But
doesn't.
shooting pool,
Yeah.
if I knew some of the tricks that I see on YouTube now, if I see some of the English, you know, I would have been much better. We didn't know none of that stuff. They didn't have television. Well, we had television, but they never showed pool playing. You know what I mean?
There's a lot to it.
Oh yeah, I watch it on YouTube now, and I say, boy, if I knew then the English you could put on the ball.
You may have never moved to Florida. You might have just stayed up in New Jersey, hustling pool all day.
My friend was a hustler. He was good. He had a pool table in his cellar. And every time, when we were down there having a party or having a few beers, he would walk by. Every time he walked by, he'd had his stick. He would practice, he would shoot. Then go in the other room and come back out. And on his way past, he'd throw some balls on. But he used to play, and me and my buddy would sit there and bet with you and your buddy, who was in the bar that belonged to the guy shooting the pool, you know. We would bet across the bar, like, you know. But he was pretty good. And then I had a pool table in Mel Beach, but I only had it for about a year. It took up a lot of room.
Yeah.
And at first we were interested, you know, but the guys that worked for me, there was like 6 guys that weren't married. So at the end of the day, they'd come in the house. I had all kind of games and shit. And the surf was right there, you know.
Yeah. You had a house on the beach, didn't you?
Huh?
Wasn't your house on the beach? Yeah.
Yeah, I was there for 22 years.
Yeah.
Now my wife is there, my ex-wife, and my daughter. They live in a house I built. Fucking, the judge gave it to her. I never paid the lawyer. He never. First of all, I had to pay child support for my daughter. But my son was only 14 and he came with me. But nobody gave me child support. He was only 14. You know what I'm saying? So the lawyer, when I found out that he didn't fight for me or nothing, you know, which he didn't. And then the judge's name was Johnson. He was voted the second worst judge in Brevard County. I get him for my divorce. I never was divorced before. I didn't know what to expect. The lawyer didn't tell me nothing. And the judge sucked. He was really bad. He said I was talking too loud. I said, well, I work construction. Sometimes I have to talk loud. That's the way I can talk to my friend when the motors are going. And he looked at me like, sit down, you know? And I'm saying, you're supposed to be the judge, and here he's worried about how I talk, you know? Right then I knew that he wasn't paying attention to what was going on, you know?
Yeah.
I lost my house, my new Chrysler. I had to pay child support, which all guys go through if they're dumb like I was. I didn't know any better. Because my son was 14, I shouldn't have been getting child support, or I shouldn't have had to pay any until he was 18. Oh yeah, I learned a lot from that divorce. I don't care. At the time, I was involved, so I really didn't give a fuck. So I didn't care. But I didn't know what I was going to run into in the future. Like I had to find a place to live, me and my son. And we got a nice apartment. I had a nice apartment. He lived there all through high school. Him and his buddy lived there for about a year. His buddy lived there for a year. and they were going to high school. So it wasn't bad. I was making money with my stucco business and making money records too on the weekend. 1980, I started here. And at first, me and Bud were making $400 to $500 every weekend selling records. $4 a piece, $6, $8, $20. You know what I mean?
In 1980.
The Beatles were selling for $10, you know. So we had plenty of money.
1980, a dollar was worth a lot more than it is now.
Oh, yeah.
1980, a dollar minimum wage was $2.50.
Yeah.
Now it's 12, 15.
That's right. I never knew minimum wage because when I worked in the alleys, that was, you got paid by how many lines you set, you know. Mm-hmm. And the paper route was a paid thing too, you know. No minimum wage, not by the hour. So I didn't know what minimum wage was from other wage. I didn't know. Then I went into service. So when I got out of the service,
You doing all right?
$1 I was making. No, I went to Delco Battery Factory
Did you?
in the city, and
Sunday,
was getting $5.50 an hour.
I was playing by this machine in the factory called
The minimum wage was like $1.25. But that was the union, see, the battery, General Motors, you know.
Wow.
Well, here's what the union does to you. Me and my buddy, three of us. The guy that hired you was a Marine, so he's seen that we were Marines, so he hired us right away. We worked there for 2.5 months and got laid off. And it was about a week later we got called back. So we went back. We didn't have nothing else. 2 months and a half, we got laid off again. Only this time I didn't go back. None of us went back. The union was taking money out of our pay every week. 2.5 months. You couldn't be a member until you worked there for 3 months. So when we went back the second time, they started all over again, taking money out of our pay. We're only 21 years old. We don't give a fuck. I'm looking for pussy. I didn't care about how much, you know. That's what the union does. Hired us again and took money out again.
2.5 months. 2.5 and then at 3.
Yeah.
You're smart.
So, I was sitting in the bar, and here comes my buddy. One of my friends there. He was in the Navy, but he got kicked out for some reason. He was a plasterer. He had a trade. He was a plasterer. So he said he came in the candies. No, he was in the bar, and he said, no, the first time he came in the candy store where we hung around, and we were over 20 then. He said, "You want to work?" I said, "Yeah. Come on with me." So we did a guy's chimney. He plastered it up, and I cleaned up. I made mud, okay? And he handed me like $50. I said, "Wow, you know." So then I'm sitting in the bar after I got laid off the second time, and he sits down. He says, "I heard you got laid off again." I says, "Yeah." He said, "You want to pick me up in the morning? You can go work with us." I said, "Yeah, okay." $1.25. You got a raise, 10-cent raise, $4 a week.
Wow.
So until I learned to plaster, I was low edge of the scale.
Right.
Once I started plastering, we got big money.
Yep.
Yeah, $20 an hour in the city. You know, big difference. I worked for a company that made over $1 million every year. They had like 5 crews that went out. We worked all over New York. That's a long story. I got a brand new car. I used it to carry the guys to the job. They went crazy. They just disappeared.
Is that surfing in Melbourne Beach? Yeah.
Yeah, I was doing the job, and these guys were tripping over each other. And I said, "John, what's the fucking problem? You guys are going crazy." He says, "Go look." Oh, the fucking waves are coming in, fucking beautiful. And I said, "Okay." That's when I asked the lady if I could come back tomorrow. I said, "I'll be back in the morning." She says, okay, I understand. And she lived there.
Right on the beach.
Yeah, a little house, a small house in India Atlantic.
Okay.
I haven't been down that way now in about 20 years, maybe. Well, I worked on the big 10, 13-story apartment there across from 7-Eleven. I did the top 2 floors. They wouldn't go any higher. The guys wouldn't go no higher. So my friend was doing it, and he called me up. He said, come to work for me for a couple of weeks. And he gave me extra money. Nobody wanted to go up to the... I said, I'm on the balcony, and here comes my son and his buddy going to school, to Gemini. You know? Ew! You know? He'll always remember that. They wouldn't go on the balconies or nothing, some of these guys. And the balcony had a railing around it. You only had to do around the door. That was all. It was a sliding door.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But we couldn't use the elevator. We had to walk up that stairs every morning. I think it was 13 or 14 stories. 13, 12 stories. Pretty high. Somebody said, if there's a fire, nobody has a hook and ladder that'll go that high. That was a controversy. And me and my buddy, we'd bring a big cooler. Beer, soda, water, whatever, sandwiches, or dope.
I'll see you later, Ed. All right?
Yes, I'll see you Sunday. I won't be here Saturday.
Yeah, all right.
Take it easy.
Yeah, take care.
All right. That's something else. I like those old stories from Melbourne Beach.
You what?
Your old stories from Melbourne Beach.
Oh, yeah. That was 1970 I came here.
Wow.
There was nothing there. I bought a bunch of property, but I could have bought more. I didn't know anything. I was a working man. I came from up north. I had a stucco business. I made money, okay? That's all I knew. I could have gotten the air conditioning business. That's what my son's doing now. He does air conditioning. He makes fucking... He worked for a week for a guy in this big, over on the barge canal where they're building that big building. He's been working in there. $2,000. He makes all kind of money. And then he does it on the side too. He charges these people like $200 just to come and look at it. See? I could have been in real estate. $500 for a license. Could have had a real estate license. I could have bought a liquor license. $1,000 for a liquor license. Could have sold it for $1 million. Yeah. Guy came to my house one day. He wanted to sell me. First, he wanted to sell me. First guy that came was $7,000. I could have had the franchise for the paint, cement paint that you paint your driveway. And I could have brought it to the paint stores, and them guys could have sold it for me. I could have made money on that. So I didn't buy that. Then a couple months later, another guy came. He wanted $20,000 for the tile roofs. I would have had the franchise for the tile, to sell the tile for the tile roofs that they put on all the houses in Vieira today. I didn't have 20 grand just to invest in that, you know. Yeah, I could have done all that stuff, but I was busy. I had plenty of jobs. You know, there was no problem there. And we didn't have no kids when I first came here. I had 100 grand when I came here. I had 4 suitcases, clothes, and 25,000 in each suitcase in my trunk when I came to Florida for good. When I came here for good, I went to 4 banks. There was First Federal of Brevard. That was 1970s. India Atlantic Bank. That was 1970s. I put money in 4 banks. One in Indian Harbor Beach. They just built it. I forget which one it was. You need Harbor Beach Bank, I think. Anyway, we weren't there. I built my house. I took 25 grand out of the one bank and built my house for $25,000.
How you gonna do it?
Nothing.
Is your uncle out here?
Fucking 2x4s were only like
He's still
50
working
cent.
hobby?
2x4. Now they're like $3 a piece. It'd be hard to build your house today because of the price of material.
Does he live with you all?
He used to.
Very expensive.
Yeah. And then we couldn't have any kids, so hey, there's a flower show in Tampa. Let's go over and look at it. Yeah, $500 out of the bank. Let's go to Tampa for the weekend or whatever, you know. Money was no object. And she started working at the newspaper. She was she wound up being a secretary for the what do you call it? Vince Pisano. He was the publisher. She was his secretary.
You have the house out at the beach, Cocoa Beach. Is
No.
that where Fasano's house was?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He died here a few years ago. He was a nice guy, a little short guy, but I could see he commanded authority when it came to the newspapers. And Al Newhart, you heard of him. We went to his house twice for parties.
How you doing, man? I don't smell any unusual smells back here. What's going on?
I can't hear too good.
How you doing? Good to see you. I'm the guy that comes
Yeah,
back.
we were closed up for a long time.
Were you?
This is our first day open.
Oh, great. Good to be
About
back.
6 months.
Man.
Well, the buildings, okay, here's one. The buildings were condemned,
Oh,
but now they're okay. We're open again. They didn't do anything. They just got a hard on for Walter, that's all.
oh.
So they closed us up.
Do you get a lot of new stock in, or is this the same stuff?
Same stuff.
Same stuff.
The only thing I got is that stuff outside, no, 5 for $1,
Yeah.
but there's no rock in there.
No.
And I got this for $10.
Yeah.
That's their first one, so not their first one. But
Dark side of the moon.
Mm-hmm.